Trudeau said that they have credible allegations about Indian government behind killing of Hardeep Singh Major. Nothing has been done by the RCMP, so we don't have anything here. What do you think has been going on at the back end, and how do you tie it to the elections?
It is good that you can see there's a diplomatic back channel still between Canada and India. And I think it's another good sign that Justin Trudeau did not jump on the Khalistan farmers' protest to antagonize. It seems Justin Trudeau is fixated on like his grand international policy now is sort of, Palestinian appeasement. He's on the sort of political left, where that's where like the majority of his base is sort of bracing for the, how anti-Israel can we be to stave off the NDP and this and that. And then I think, elections in India will sort of straighten everything out, because you don't know if there's any sort of magical thinking within the Liberals where they think, oh, Modi isn't progressive enough, so there's no way he'll win an election in India because he doesn't have the same social values as the upper middle class of Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal. Like, how could he win an Indian election without my friends in Montreal? That type of thinking that, when Modi wins maybe 80% of the, over 70% of the seats, we're talking about, is it over 400 seats he's going to get? That should restabilize things and let, sort of the West know, okay, this guy isn't going away anytime soon. We can't just ignore him and assume that, oh, okay, Congress will get back in and then everything will go back to the status quo, and, we'll have a climate agreement, and we'll have some, social justice agreements, and they'll do nothing on paper, but we'll all feel good. No, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Rahul Gandhi's going to pull a rabbit out of the hat in this one. So to me, it symbolizes that I think Canada kind of realizes that India is going to be there long term. And it's shown that this isn't the number one social issue for anyone really in Canada. Again, the left is a lot of people are far more focused on Israel-Palestine as foreign policy. Ukraine, the remnants of the culture will go out there. And then again, the Chinese foreign interference is a much, much bigger story for people who hate Trudeau than his India bungling. Although it's always humorous the way he bungles in India, and it's a lot more flashy. We can have a good laugh. But the CCP, Chinese election scandal interference, and like what is exactly the relationship with him and the Chinese? This is far more damaging and serious.
Do you think the interference with India is more like a smoke and mirror to not talk about Chinese interference?
Yeah, that's sort of what people thought at the outset. The timing of it is, and it might not have been like, exactly planned, right? You like, oh, on the Klaus Schwab chessboard where, the deep state's moving around the pieces. But things happen in life and opportunities present themselves. So with this tip with India, I think there was sort of like a two birds, one stone, where like, okay, we're going to go really hard at India now, and we're going to set the narrative that we really care about foreign interference. We're just going to accuse India of doing it, and then, punch around in some Indian diplomats because they think, oh, India's not going to smack us like China would. And there's also, again, if you deflect there and you want to if you really are dirty on China, which a lot of people think the Liberals are, just to go over, the Liberals' excuse for the Chinese interference is they can't read. They got emails from CSIS and they didn't know how to open them, which are understandable. Who knows how to open an email in the year 2024? And then when there was an investigation put to them, and it's like, there was basically a question, can you go through the emails now and open them and read them now? No, that would not be possible. That would be too much work. So the defense Liberals have is literally, we cannot read. I tend to think that might not be true. And I think Occam's razor is, you know what? There's Chinese interference. That's there. So by presenting the narrative that, oh, we're really tough on foreign interference, look at us go, we're kicking out Indian diplomats, right? Doing the things you should have done to China to someone else, it makes it look like you get a cover your tracks narrative wise, and there's always sycophants in the Toronto Star and wherever they're going to push this narrative. But yeah, I do think, although I don't think this entire thing with India was done for the sole purpose of covering up a Chinese scandal, I just think when two scandals presented themselves, there was some clever PR manipulation. You saw that from the Liberals quite clearly. They're laying the groundwork, and they were then using the things I said about India to deflect from things they did on China.
I saw a security conversation between Stephen Harper. There was Minister of Foreign Affairs from India, Ministry of Foreign Affairs from Saudi Arabia. They talked about a lot about different countries making different decisions, and from how we are moving away from the American-led world order. Where does Canada sit now, and what's in store for Canada in that future?
I mean, this is the old, multipolar world, which I don't believe in. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's wishful thinking. I think that type of multipolar world thinking, the Obama administration bring that to the forefront. I think it's been disastrous. And I think you saw 4 years of, global stability under Trump because he reset the multipolar thing and said, no, we're Western hegemony and American-led Western hegemony is the best way. And I think that's always Canada's strongest position is to be, you know, seen as sort of a diplomat for Western hegemony, where, the Americans can throw the weight around, but Canada gains a reputation for sort of being part of the free Anglosphere, having a better reputation with different countries, can negotiate sort of an intermediary between, the US and different areas of the world, whether it be Europe or the Middle East. Like that's always been our strength, and that's where we're in the strongest position. And Harper played that position so incredibly well that Canada was in a very, very strong diplomatic position, strongest it really had ever been, where we didn't even need to sort of bow to the Americans or get dragged along with them. We sort of had enough of our reputation to sort of carry on by ourselves. And, that's all gone by the wayside when we went back to the multipolar world. Because where's Canada's role in this multipolar world? If everyone's equal and everyone's everything, then Canada stands on its own and we're not going to back American dominance. Then like, where do we stand? Like when then we get pushed around by China, we get pushed around by Russia, we get pushed around by the OIC, you think the Organization of Islamic Cooperation is just going to break down because no, they're going to band together and push the things they've always been pushing. And where are we if not within our Western coalition? And the thing with the multipolar world is people often say that they don't even mean that. They don't mean everyone's equal. They just want the West to go down so they can be number one, right? They just want the West weaker so they can be positionally stronger. Like no one outside the West who advocates for a multipolar world actually philosophically believes in multipolar worlds. They just want to be. Usually they're imperialists. Like look at Russia. Like I mean, if China and Russia were India, then yeah, okay, let's do multipolar world and everyone can respect and coexist. But like part of these empirical thoughts is like there's people who are not down for global coexistence. There's people trying to like dominate the world, and that's a harsh reality of life. And just ignoring this fact isn't going to make it go away. Just, pretending the CCP is like a harmless, oh, they just want to talk and like, they're going to be our friends, but they're just mad at, the US put sanctions on some communist 25 years ago. And if we say sorry, they're going to be like, no, we've seen that to not be true. So, and, okay, yeah, I'm down with, giving African nations, the time of day to listen to them. But at the end of the day, you have to understand there's a reason why Uganda doesn't carry the same diplomatic weight that America does. Like there's just a reason, and it never will. And pretending it does, and like saying, "Oh yes, Uganda," well, it doesn't do them any favors because no one's going to abide by that ever. And at least in a Western dominated world, they have the ability to access free markets and trade with anyone. Like that's part of the Western world is like we don't charge tariffs if Uganda and Argentina want to start trading with each other. They get to do that freely, and like they can ship through U.S. protected waters, like to honor their free trade agreement, which the US doesn't get a cut of. Like, so that would not be the way of the world if the Chinese and the Russians controlled, 2/3 of it.